What's up, Buckeye Nation? FloCo here, one of the co-founders and co-hosts of Ohio State Football with Scarlet N Great right here on YouTube with my other good friends, Johnny Bullet and Sugar Ray Shane Larson, the Game Time Guru, the Boise Buckeye, a whole host of other nicknames. He's like the Babe Ruth of podcasting with all his nicknames. Guys, gotta say, we've reached the 5,000 mark. 5,000 subscriptions. I really appreciate you guys. Johnny appreciates you. Shane appreciates you. Everybody who works with us appreciates you. Thank you for all the love and support you've been giving us, guys. We hope to continue to provide you good, free Buckeye content. And we hope for you to keep joining the discussion with all the great comments you guys have been leaving. Please comment below on anything you see on these videos. We'd love to hear from you. A hoodie and a mug, because we promised, is coming to a very lucky supporter here very soon. Like I said before, I love the hoodie. I have the hoodie. I don't have the mug. I do have the hoodie. Johnny has the mug, loves the mug. I love that hoodie because I'm a Floridian. And we can't handle cold weather for nothing. That hoodie comes in very, very, very clutch when it's like 65 out for us. I know all you Ohioans up there, it's like, just shut up. Anyway, guys, appreciate you as always. That we mean that from the bottom of our hearts. But we're also here to talk about Buckeye football, and we just got out of a game. This is the overreaction to the Indiana whomping 56-14 Ohio State. Really didn't have much trouble with this one, as we anticipated. Indiana's not been good this year. Ohio State, still has some things to work out, but they're obviously a really good team. So anyway, I just like to go through a few things of like, what do we learn/see in this game? Funny part is like for the first time in like 3 weeks, I got to see a game live instead of have to watch it in recording because I wasn't working for once. But got to watch it as it happened. Watched it again on recording later. And there's a couple things I noticed that there's generic things. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not some coach who can just dissect the film like a Zach Smith on Menace to Sports or anything like that. But I do want to. There's some things that I, at least as a fan, I'm noticing that if you disagree with me, comment and let me know I'm an idiot. But if you agree with me, comment as well and let me know I'm right. Because I got about 5, maybe 6 things here, 5 official, 1 honorable mention, but I do want to talk about this. Let's go on to the first one. CJ Stroud is continuing his growth as a quarterback and leader. Okay. Look, even though he didn't have a great game against Northwestern, and that's obviously because the weather was horrible. I mean, everybody I've heard an account from so many people who were at the game who just said they were thinking about leaving because that weather was so bad. But CJ did what he had to do to help the team win. He ran the ball. We know he hates running the ball. We know he hates it. But he did it. And he, like on a serious 4th down play, he kept the ball on I'm pretty sure it was probably predetermined that he keep the ball. And then there was also another keeper where he went 40-some odd yards. We all know about this. I'm not trying to rehash the old game. But the fact of the matter is, in this game, in the Indiana game, I was noticing, just beyond passing the ball, he was a little hot and cold in this game and passing the ball, but he was still pretty overall really good. But there was times where like he would. There's one thing that's driving me nuts though is he wants to step up in the pocket. He keeps rolling to the outside. It's like, dude, that makes an offensive tackle's life miserable when they get the guy by you and you won't step up. You just have to roll around, and now he has to find another angle to block the guy at. But Aaron Rodgers has been driving offensive linemen for the nuts with that for a long time. But just step up in the pocket. It's there. The interior line hasn't been. Anyway, that being said, I'm not here to cut on CJ. When he would roll out to the outside, the great thing about it is he would. There's a couple times he would just scramble finally. It's like, it's there, just take it, scramble. He even took a shot to shoulder on one play. Didn't quite get the first down. I thought he got a little bit of a bad mark on that, but it doesn't matter. But and another time he actually went 8 yards, stepped out of bounds by accident. You could see the frustration in him that he could have got a touchdown. He knew he could have taken it to the house. And I'm loving seeing that aggressive style of competitiveness with him now. I didn't really see that with him forever. I mean, you could scold me for that comment below if I'm wrong, but Johnny and I have discussed this for a long time. Maybe Shane too. I don't think even he and I have really discussed it as much, but I just felt he's a great passer. He's a supremely talented, but does he have that dog in him? We've talked about that. And I think he's starting to show that more and more, that competitive spirit and that competitive dog in him. Not to say he wasn't competitive, but there's a difference between being workaholic competitive versus game competitive. And I didn't 100% always see that consistently with CJ. I'm starting to see it now. Even if things aren't going quite his way in some instances, he'll do what he needs to do to move the ball and move the chains. And that's what we've been screaming about for years, guys. I mean, not years, but the last couple of years with CJ is just take what you can get. If it's 2nd and 10 and nobody's open, go get those 4 yards, make it 3rd and 6, make it a much more manageable down the distance rather than take a sack or throw the ball away or whatever. Just take what you can get. Don't sit there in the pocket and just wait for the longest period of time for somebody to break open. Maybe that was a little bit of a luxury when we had Garrett Wilson and CJ and Cliff Olave, but right now it's not as much as a luxury. But anyway, I got to move on. I can't spend too much time on this. The run game definitely looked better. I mean, it was over 300 yards rushing. We had 200-yard rushers and Miyan Williams and Dallin Hayden. I probably would have had 3 if Xavier Johnson had another couple of carries in there. Man, he had 1 carry for 71 yards and just knifed his way to a touchdown. But the run game definitely looked better. No question about it. There's very little to complain about there. But there's still some things I'm like kind of curious about if it was a better team or not. I don't know if it's just because it's Indiana or whatever. We couldn't even run on bad teams, so you got to take the improvement where you can get it. The incremental improvement's a good thing. There's a couple times where I see it's like defensive lines just slant us to death on these run plays, especially the stretch runs. And I'm noticing like our guard would be trailing the defensive tackle. And I noticed there was one play specifically that kind of like irked me a little bit, where Miyan Williams got around the C gap and he was making a cut up field, and the defensive tackle, if he was any better at his job, would have been there and would have stopped him for a yard gain. But he ended up getting 8-10 yards or whatever it was. And Matt Jones was trailing behind him and didn't quite get the leverage on him to get him out of the way. Sometimes I wonder if that play is somewhat designed for the running back to stop, put a foot in the ground, and wait for the tide to move, so he could cut back. But I don't know. I'm not a coach. And there was also on those outside stretch runs, sometimes you see the safety just come crashing down and take off that outside route and take the edge away, and then we're getting nothing on it. So I just there's still some things, little bugs here and there that bug me. But again, complaining about 300-yard run day is a little bit stupid, isn't it? I mean, I'll admit that. It's a little stupid. The run game definitely looked better, but man, injuries. I mean, Ryan Day says Miyan Williams is going to be healthy. He's going to be fine, but gosh, it looked bad. And he was on crutches in a boot. He got carted off. And you're thinking, man, is he done for the next few games? He might be. They might sit him out against Maryland. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I hope not. But I mean, if he's not healthy enough to play, then yes, you have to. But we need Henderson back. We need Miyan Williams. And we're not going to get Evan Pryor back this year. It is what it is. I mean, man, the 3-headed monster is just completely depleted right now with all these injuries. It's driving us nuts. And B. Moses, my good friend B. Moses, posted something on his Facebook. I think it came from Tony Gerdeman originally. The turf we use is being challenged by the NFL Players Association in the NFL because the players don't like that kind of turf. It's the exact same kind of turf we're using, and we're seeing more injuries. I'm just kind of wondering if the two are connected. I hope not, but if that's true, then we need to do something about that, even though we just changed the turf this past year. So anyway, but the run game did look better. And we got to try to build off that going forward because we've got one more test before the big game against the team up north, and we have to be able to run the ball in that game. Absolutely have to be able to run the ball in that game. Marvin Harrison is wide receiver 1 unequivocally right now. I mean, even if JSN comes back, to me, he's a wide receiver number 1. And I love JSN. I love Emeka Egbuka. I love Julian Fleming. I think these are all talented guys. The thing about it is JSN, I hope he's back by the Michigan game. I don't know if do you play him against Maryland or what. He keeps re-aggravating that hamstring injury. Maybe you just roll the dice, and even though he won't be maybe in game shape for the Michigan game, you just got to roll the dice and put him in his old role. I put him in his old role as a slot receiver against Michigan, so you don't have to try to reconfigure the offense that you've been running all year with Harrison and Egbuka as the guys. But Harrison, and I love Egbuka, and Johnny and I have debated this all year about Egbuka or Harrison, and I think if both are going to have great NFL careers. They're going to go down as great Buckeyes. I'm not dogging either one of them. I love them both. But Harrison to me is that pure wide receiver 1. 60 catches now, over 900 yards, like 10, 11 touchdowns. I don't know the stats 100% right now, but he's our leading receiver by about 9 catches. And he's got more yards than Egbuka now, more touchdowns. I mean, he's got the same exact yards per 16 yards per catch. The great thing about Harrison is this, and that he showed us his unbelievable concentration on that sideline catch to get his foot in bounds. I mean, when I first saw that live, I thought, there's no way he got that in bounds. It's just great. We're going to be punting again. I think it was 3rd down. We're going to be punting again. How he got his foot down when his body was almost perpendicular to the freaking field, or parallel to the field, I'm sorry, getting my math terms wrong, is unreal. And you see the still shot of it where his foot doesn't look natural where it's sitting. How flexible that guy is ridiculous. And he came down with the ball. got great ball skills. There's a couple other plays where he catch back shoulder throws or whatever. Just things that he had to adjust to. He has great ball skills in the air. He doesn't have to be extremely wide open. And he's a guy you could just throw the ball to and he can go get it. As long as with his catch radius, his ball skills, as long as the ball's in play and it's in the vicinity, I mean, he can get it. Now, on the sideline catches are a little bit more difficult. I see that because there's a couple back shoulders that didn't work. But if you got him in the middle of the field or in the slot, and he's just so difficult to cover. He creates so many problems because he's a physical, big receiver who has great ball skills, a great catch radius. I didn't realize he was that much bigger than his dad. I know his dad wasn't huge, but I was like, man, he's massively bigger than his dad. Dad's 6 foot, 185 in college. Marvin's already 6'4", 210. So, and he's also very dangerous on those slant patterns and those post patterns. And I love the play. It's good complementary football, right? Where the run game is working well. So then and Kevin Wilson even said it, teams are bringing the safeties up just to stop the run to make us one-dimensional. Fine. How do you make them pay for that? You go over the top. Post pattern, Marvin Harrison, no safety help, touchdown is what it is. Because you have the safeties in to stop the run. Okay, fine. We'll make you pay for it. And I kind of get it. And the weather's getting a little bit more difficult to throw the ball consistently as we go forward. So I'm hoping there's a clear, nice day. I mean, not to say CJ can't throw in the snow. He did against Michigan. But I'm hoping it's a nice, clear day when Michigan comes to town, because then all bets are off in terms of our balance of the offense. But Harrison, to me, right, wide receiver number 1, even if JSN comes back. I think that has to be the case. 4, Cade Stover is an absolute weapon. I am trying very, very hard not to get in that camp of he's better than Jeremy Ruckert. I bounced back and forth in that camp a few times this year. And I love Jeremy Ruckert. It's not a knock on him. Again, when I say these kinds of things, I'm not knocking the other guy. But Stover is something I did not expect at tight end. I thought he'd be a makeshift guy, get 10, 13 catches, and he'd be a good blocker. Ironically, his blocking in space needs a lot to be desired. And on the line, he's okay. In space, on those bubble screens and things like that, he sometimes whiffs, making up words. He sometimes whiffs on those blocks. But as a receiver, he's excellent. And we all knew he was a great athlete. I'm not saying I didn't expect him to be a great athlete. I didn't expect him to catch on and be the great receiving threat of a tight end that he is. I did not expect, because when's the last time we used one that much? And that's what people argue with me, is that Jeremy Ruckert was not utilized like Cade Stover. And there's probably some truth to that, but there's also, look, and as much as I just shine praise on Harrison and Buka and everything, they're not getting the separation and they don't have the experience that Olave and Wilson and did. And then we saw what JSN did in that slot role last year with CJ. So, I mean, Ruckert was really that fourth option, and it was probably hard for him to kind of break free from that, especially when we needed an extra blocker, and because the offensive line wasn't as good last year, if you could, in my opinion. But that being said, it's like, I don't know. It's just Stover is such a freaking weapon in the seam. He has good run after catch ability. He's tough. He's physical. He gets that touchdown where he dove over the defender and put the ball across the line. He's dependable. I thought the funny part is in that touchdown he has 29 catches, by the way, this year for over 300 something yards. I think he has around 5 to 7 touchdowns. Anyway, could be wrong on that. Comment on what his stats are if you want to help me out here. But that touchdown where I love the fact that when we were on the goal line, we blocked the punt, we were near the goal line, and I was like, okay, we're going to try to run it in 3 times and have to kick a field goal or something. I was like, because our short yardage stinks. It just does right now. It does. Sorry, if you want to complain about anything, our short yardage run game is terrible. It's horror. It's like Shaq would say, horror awful. I think it's like 100. They said in the statistics, it's 121st in the league or in the country. It's like, wow, that's sad. I mean, Justin Fry was Mr. Hey, we want everybody to know what we're going to do and still get the first down. You're making me miss JT Barrett on those QB sneaks. That's how bad it's been. But that play where Cade got on the block and he released his block, and I was shocked the defender actually let him go and then not trail him. And I think he was maybe he's figuring some linebacker safety help or whatever, but then Cade just standing right along. It's like, oh, please don't blow this, because that is an easy pitch and catch. They didn't. Obviously, one of CJ's many touchdown passes yesterday. Excellent game from Stover. I don't know. I'm a huge Cade Stover fan. To me, he's probably our best pass catching tight end really since probably Ricky Dudley. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Comment if I'm wrong on that one, because I know a lot of people defend Jeremy Ruckert on this, and I'm not trying to knock him, but it's just like, man, this Stover's a huge, nice surprise this year, and we would need. And of course, there's also this idea that he has seniority over the receivers that we have. So he's a captain. He's been in the locker room forever. CJ knows him, so I mean, there's some trust there as well. So I don't know. Maybe we're just utilizing the tight end more. That's possible too. So comment below what you think it is, because Cade has been an absolute weapon this year. But moving on to the fifth option, the fifth thing we've seen, defense continues to shine. I put Lathan Ransom there in parentheses because he had a baller of a game. I think he had 9. I got his stats right now in front of me. He had 9 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss, pass breakup. He had an amazing game, and he had blocked punt, obviously. This is what I love about Lathan Ransom is he's becoming that Jordan Fuller type. We haven't really had that. Jordan Fuller was such an underrated player for the 2019 defense. Look what he's doing in the NFL now. He's basically a Pro Bowl level of safety for the Rams. But anyway, we haven't had that since Fuller left. I mean, we've been looking for that guy who could be the cleanup artist, and he can cover. He could be the cleanup artist in the run game, especially when they get back to that second level. He can make a surefire tackle. His ankles are pretty good. And he's just an active player. He's also he's a playmaker. His blitzes, he's a good blitzer as well now. So I have to say he's doing a phenomenal job. Sorry, I just got a message there that distracted me a little bit. He's doing a phenomenal job as back there in the safety position. He's not relented that position since he got it back, and obviously coming off a broken leg. You know, the thing about Lathan Ransom as well is the fact is, I mean, I started to wonder if he was ever. I had high hopes for him, but guys like him and Tommy Eichenberg, I think there's like Steel Chambers that also led us in tackles to 10. You know, that's half a sack, tackle for loss. Jack Sawyer had a great game with a sack and a half as well. Came around. Tommy Eichenberg shined with 3 tackles for loss as well as 7 tackles. You know, it's like these guys, you were wondering with the previous coaching staff, were they just not any good, or was it the system? Now we see a new system, we see new coaching staff, and these guys are shining, and they're playing great ball. And the defense continues to shine, and I could not be a bigger fan of Jimmy Knowles. I just hope he's here forever, basically. Honorable mention, before we wrap up the show. You know, I know we've had our bugs and we've had our issues the last few weeks, but OSU, if you look at the national landscape of college football, OSU is still clearly one of the top 4 teams. And it's coming down to a showdown between us and Michigan, November 26th, of course. But right now, we're still very clearly one of those top 4 teams. I think there's just no argument there. I think that obviously Georgia, Michigan, and Ohio State are the top 3 right now. And Tennessee, to me, is still in that top 4 range. They're still extremely dangerous and very good, but also just goes to show how good Georgia is. But even with our flaws, and there were some flaws yesterday, it wasn't perfect. Even with our flaws and a dominant victory, I think it's very obvious Ohio State still belongs. They're not a pretender, so to speak, but they got to get by the big test coming up, and I think they will. I really do, because I think Michigan's a really good football team. I think they're playing really well, but I definitely don't see them as unbeatable as some Ohio State fans are saying. So anyway, guys, I know it went long. I just had a lot to say about this game. Appreciate you as always. A hoodie mug are coming. Subscribe to the channel as always, and ring that little bell so you see the new content coming out. We appreciate you guys. We're over 5,000 subscriptions. God bless y'all. Oh gosh, that was a fun game. So, you know, this week I'm not actually drinking vodka. I just got regular water. So as always, guys, goodbye, God bless, and go Bucks.